am Nongcebo Vukile McKenzie, and this is the podcast, Sawubona. Every fortnight, a guest joins us for a conversation or to share a story. It's a pleasure to share these with you and to have you with us. Welcome, Ngiyakwamukela, to another episode of Nongcebo McKenzie, the podcast. So we continue our series of conversations with Momentum Corporate as part of their Zenzele series. We've covered some topics already relating to saving and relating to two-pot. And I mentioned earlier, or in the previous conversation, that the two-pot discussion is split into two conversations. There's the overall understanding of two-pot, and then there's the how you interact with your two-pot options. We're joined by Tshepo Mathatho from Momentum Corporate. Hello, Tshepo.
How are you, ma'am?
I'm good, and you?
I'm fantastic.
So you're back. We talked about savings. We talked about reducing your debt with the aim of eliminating your debt so that you can save, so that you can set yourself up for a comfortable retirement.
Correct.
Okay. Now, in all of that, in all my saving, in all my making the right decisions around having the right kind of mindset towards planning for my retirement, even in my day-to-day living and making the right decisions, boom, comes two-pot. Tshepo Sibanda gave us the broad overview of what two-pot is, how it works, what options you're faced with, the options that you don't need to take with regards to your two-pot. So let's now look at two-pot with regard to how I, as a person who has got a retirement savings vehicle with the aim of retiring comfortably, now interact with two-pot and the options that I have. Let's first break the entire two-pot concept down in terms of what it means for me as a person.
Firstly, the two-pot legislation is actually wonderful legislation.
Okay.
This is coming from Tshepo, not anyone else. It's actually wonderful legislation. It's actually designed to encourage South Africans to save for their future.
Okay.
In fact, not encourage, it forces us. Sometimes we need a bit of forcing in order to have the correct behavior. So firstly, it's two pots, the name, but there are actually three pots. So there's the vested pot, the savings pot, and the retirement pot.
Okay.
So the vested pot is essentially the bulk of your money is sitting in the vested pot. So all the years that you've been working, all that money has been accumulated into the vested pot up until the 31st of August 2024.
Okay.
So with that money, you retain all the rights with that money.
Okay.
So if you want to resign, you still have access to that money. Then there's the second pot, which is the savings pot. So from the 1st of September 2024, you now have two pots, the savings pots and the retirement pots. 1/3 of your monthly contribution is going to the savings pot. 2/3 are going to the retirement pot. The savings pot, as the name says, it's almost like a savings vehicle in the sense that you are then able to withdraw from that once per tax year.
Okay.
Without having to need to resign from your current employer. 2/3 of your contribution, your monthly contribution, goes into the retirement pot. As the name says, it is for your retirement. So whether you resign, you are dismissed, whatever sort of exit that you do from your employer, you cannot touch that money up until you are 55 years. Essentially forcing us to save for retirement. With this savings pot that I'm speaking of, you have the option of withdrawing annually or per tax year. It's not beneficial to do that year on year because you are taking away from yourself in the future. As I always say, all of this money is not for your employer or some strange deduction coming off your salary. It is money from your pocket right now that is being saved to pay you, not anyone else, you, when you are old and gray at 60 or 65. So the more that you've saved in all of these things, the better. So at that particular point, when you retire, the more you've saved, the more you'll get as a monthly income. So those are the three pots that I'm speaking of. So a person who maybe started working post 1st of September 2024 will only have two pots. A person who's been employed previous to that date will have three pots. But the most important thing is that the first pot your options remain available to you. We do not encourage people to resign and take those funds. Yet again, when you're taken away not from the fund, you're not taken away from the employer, but you're taken away from yourself. Yes.
So you're shortchanging yourself in the future.
Correct. So that instant gratification right now, in fact, I can tell you when I changed jobs before my current employer, I literally took money from that. It is something that I can't even say to you right now what I did with that money. But it will impact me for the rest of my life. So what I've also then started doing, for example, is to put more money into my fund. That's a different conversation.
Yes.
However, what I'm trying to actually paint is the fact that when you take away from this money, whether through resignation from the vested parts, whether through your annual withdrawal from the savings parts, you are taking away from yourself. And the most important thing is that you're taking away from the compounding that would have happened through the years. So if you put 100 Rand today and you leave it for 30 years, for example, it could be 10,000, 100,000. I'm not going to speak about the exact maths, but there is compounding that happens.
Yes.
So by you taking that 50,000 right now to pay off your car, it is a need right now. I'm not going to lie. But you are taking away even more from yourself at retirement. The most important thing, Nongcebo, is that when you're taking money away from your retirement fund, whether through resignation from your vested parts or the annual withdrawal that you can do on your savings pot,
Right.
you're not taking away from the fund. You're not taking away from your employer. You're taking away from yourself. So this is very, very important to understand that the less that you have at retirement, the less you are then able to draw as an income, which will then impact you at that point because you still got expenses that you need to pay. So the less money that you can draw as an income, the worse your situation is. So for example, before I joined my current company, I took money from my previous employer's pension fund. That is something that I regret to this day because I know right now I've done calculations that it will be a huge knock of me in the future. So I've started putting money aside, an extra 500 from time to time to try and plug that hole that I created. So obviously the conversation today is not about additional voluntary contributions, but I'm trying to paint the picture that whatever withdrawal that you do from a pension fund has got a bigger impact on your future than what you think right now.
So when a person withdraws from their savings pot, okay, this withdrawal, just to really break it down simply, is not some bonus amount that was there. It's not some extra amount that was there. It's money, yes, it's sitting in your savings pot, but it's coming out from your fund. It does impact the net sum that you get at the end of the day. And most importantly, keeping it there is actually going to affect that net sum and increase it.
Correct. So there are two impacts on this. Firstly, the money that you take right now from the savings pot is not free of charge per se. Firstly, your fund will charge you a withdrawal fee. I know some funds are charging 250, others 500. It depends on the fund at hand. So there's a withdrawal fee, one.
Okay.
Secondly, there is tax that is deducted from that amount that you're taking from the savings pot. And that tax is based on your marginal tax rate. So the marginal tax rate in normal language is the tax rate that you have on your payslip.
Okay.
So the more you earn, the higher your tax rate will be. So there is an impact right now with regards to tax right now, as little as 18%, for example, all the way up to 45%, depending on your income bracket. Secondly, you are now taking away from the compounding that will happen over years. So to me, it's a double knock. You're taking the immediate impact right now of that money, and even worse, the compounding that will happen over years. So 10 years, 15 years, 20 years may seem like nothing. But I promise you that over years, there's a lot of interest, the dividends that are put into that money that will then multiply over the years.
I'm just doing the calculations quickly in my head, not to the rands and cents, but if you are 40 now and you'll be retiring at 60, and every year you exercise your two-pot withdrawal, and you then take tax as well into consideration. Just without even taking out a financial calculator. That sounds like a lot of money.
It's a huge amount of money. A huge amount of money.
Before we get to the opportunity cost of what you are losing in terms of compounding, just that money, just considering the tax
itself.
and just taking, let's say you're taking 20,000 Rand, just to take an arbitrary sum. If you're taking 20,000 Rand out every year, so multiply that by 20 years, okay, because you're 40, you're going to retire at 60. That's a lot of money.
Correct.
And let's say, just for argument's sake again, you pay 2,000 Rands tax on that every year. So now you're losing, again, 2,000 Rand times 20 years. That is a lot of money before you consider what you forfeited in terms of compound interest.
That's absolutely correct. So that's why I always speak about, let's not look at the current, the instant gratification that you get from money. I'm not sitting here thinking that everyone can sort out their finances. But I always revert and say, look at budgeting, look at saving, look at reducing your debt instead of using the savings pot as an annual kitty, an annual bonus that you give yourself to pay off debt or to take holidays and stuff like that. So I always say to my members and clients, look at the habits that you're having. The daily habits, the monthly habits that you have of saving, reducing debt, and don't look at the two-part withdrawal as that, because you are taken away from the future. So this is what I'm saying on a Nongcebo. At the end of the day, you're going to get old. You want to have a lifestyle that you want right now. I speak to a lot of young people. They say to me, no, I'm Superman. I don't care. It's almost like they feel like they never will get old. That is, I promise you. But the unfortunate thing is we all get old. We all get old. And time, if you blink right now, you are 40. You blink again, you are 60. And all these things that you've been doing through these years now comes back to bite you in the bum. You see? So this is a very pertinent thing, because at the end of the day, this is your money. It's not the government's money. It's not your employer's money. It is your money that you're taking away from.
It actually sounds very scary to me when you say that there are people who are not bothered by the fact that they will retire at some point, because that then is just concerning in terms of how we view our retirement and how we view retiring comfortably. It sounds to me that for some of us, we are not thinking about it. And if we're not thinking about it, when I say not thinking about it, I'm differentiating between putting a plan in place and never reviewing it, and versus never having a plan in place.
Correct.
And the impact of that.
So a lot of people, the deduction for your pension contribution, it's a grudge purchase. They look at it as an unnecessary thing. And to me, that is, if I could, I'd be putting more and more and more. That is why I say to you, the additional voluntary contributions, the retirement annuity that you can put money into. At the end of the day, the ultimate goal, out of everything that we're talking about with all the series that we have as Momentum, is that we want you to be able to exist comfortably.
Okay.
It is not about anything else outside of that. It's literally existing comfortably at retirement. And this is a journey. It does not happen overnight. So with these two parts that we're speaking about, people will be taking it annually, and they think, no, it's just 20,000 Rand. It's just 20,000 Rand. But if you are now looking at the compounding and the annual type of impact that you have on this thing, it becomes massive. And then also you forget the fact that when you reach retirement, this retirement pot that we're speaking of, you do not have access to that as a lump sum. That will solely pay you an income. Let's use your example of, and I'll touch on that. So if you're a person that started the 1st of September, you've got these two pots. You've got the savings pots and the retirement pots. Every year you're taking money from the savings pots.
Right.
You reach retirement. You cannot have any sort of lump sum coming your way. So you can't go on the holiday that I spoke about on another day.
If you still have a bond, you can't settle it.
You can't settle your car, you can't do anything.
Oy.
So this retirement pot, which is great, it will pay you an income. You have no choice in the matter. A lot of people feel that they are forced into this retirement, into the fact that this money must pay you an income. The unfortunate thing, a lot of people, especially in provident funds, there's another thing called a provident fund, that when you reach retirement, you had the ability to take all of this money. You know, I've got uncles, probably you've got aunts and stuff that took out all this money, 2 million, 3 million, 5 million.
Oof.
In the space of 8 years or 6 years, whatever amount of time, they now have zero. Because everyone is coming at them from different directions, asking for money. Here's an opportunity for business, and. And at some particular point, all this money, this lump sum that you got, now becomes zero. And then who looks after you at that point? So in regards to this, it's actually a fantastic, fantastic piece of legislation that is saying that when a Nongcebo, we are forcing you to pay yourself. We are forcing you to not be dependent on anyone else. We're all independent across the range. Why is it that right now you're an independent person, but when you're 65 or 70, you now want to be dependent on someone else? So that is the most important thing. We want you to retain your independence even when you're old and gray and can't walk and do whatever sort of thing, that you know that the bill that you have are being paid by Nongcebo. They're not being paid by the government, or they're not being paid by anyone else. That is a level of independence that we want to give to people. And this piece of legislation is ensuring that at that point, you will live comfortably. You will be able to buy bread. You will be able to purchase electricity or whatever that you want to do with the monthly income. So this two-part, it is not a piece of legislation that is designed to take away rights of people. They even allow you with this savings pot. Beforehand, you could not access your pension fund whilst you are working.
Okay.
You had to resign. So right now with the two pots.
So people were resigning specifically?
Thousands of people.
Okay.
I've dealt with a lot of our members that would resign specifically to take out this money. And in this economy, I can tell you, it is very difficult to get another job.
Yeah.
No matter whatever state of skill that you may have or degrees, it's very difficult to get another job.
But you also can't make up for, if you'd been working for 20 years and you now only have 20 years left to work, you can't make up.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
So that is why we are now encouraging people to not take. So when you change jobs, so I move from company A to company B, for example, we say preserve your money. We've got vehicles called preservation funds, where you leave your money. That money is not sitting underneath my bed or the CEO's bed. It remains invested. So if you leave an X amount of money today, in 15 years' time, even though there aren't any contributions monthly going into that, there's compounding that's happening. There's interest, there's dividends, there's interest on interest. So over the years, you leave an X amount of money. By the time that you need to access that money at retirement, it has grown. So you have left that money with company A, for example. You've gone to company B. You continue contributing to their retirement fund. You've now got a preservation fund. You've got a pension fund. You've got RAs. You've got a lot of different things that are happening. But ultimately, all of this money is so that you've got more money at the end.
So I'm hearing several things from what you're saying, Tshepo. First of all, none of this taking money out is a matter of must.
No.
So even the pot that remains with a lump sum that you can still touch outside of the new two pots now, you don't need to take that if you resign. If you'd been working before the 1st of September, you don't need to take it.
Absolutely not.
You can put it into a preservation fund.
Correct.
Okay. This is not the same as for somebody who started working on the 1st of September because they don't have that option. They only have the savings option, but the savings pot option, which comes into effect every tax year. But also, you don't need to take money out of your two pot.
Correct.
From your savings pot, you don't need to take it, right? But also that your money keeps on working when you don't touch it, even if it's sitting in the preservation fund and if it's sitting in the savings pot, it keeps on working. So you taking it out, you are disabling your money from being able to work so that it works for you come retirement time.
Correct. Absolutely. You've actually summed up perfectly. I can't add to that. That's a perfect summation. At the end of the day, you are taking away from yourself. I need to keep on saying that over and over so that people can understand that it's not anyone else's money. This is your money. I'm literally taking away 15% or 20% from your money right now in order for you to pay yourself a salary at retirement. We need to look at it and distill this conversation. You know, a lot of times when I speak to members and I do presentations and webinars, I always prefer speaking in normal language. You see, this particular industry that we are in is very legislated. So a lot of times people don't understand what's going on. Perhaps my company and the like will use these big bombastic words. So that is why we need to distill this thing and say, this is your money. It's not some other thing out there with aliens. It's literally your money. And the more you take, the less you are able to earn at retirement. So this two-part thing, and I just want to have a summary on this. This two-part thing is a great thing. It allows you to have a emergency savings, if I may. So the longer that you don't access this two-part money or the savings part money, the more it grows. So if, for example, one day you do have a genuine emergency, you have this thing that's there for you. But if you're generally and always taking this money, that means when you have this emergency, what do you need to do at that point? You then need to go into the banking system and take loans which charge you interest and. So this money is sitting there waiting for you in case. And touch wood, I really hope people, if they don't touch this savings pot money, they don't need to actually touch it later on. But if there is a need, it's there sitting for them. You see? So yeah, that's two parts in a nutshell.
But another thing that you mentioned, Tshepo, is that when people retire and they've got the lump sums that come out, then they've got people coming at them.
Correct.
And one of the things you mentioned in the other episode, and also Tshepo mentioned in the previous episode that we did with him, is the importance of consulting your financial advisor, the importance of engaging with your retirement benefit counselor, because if Nongcebo, you come to me with 8 million, I've got 7,000 ideas to sell you. Of course, you've got 8 million. Now, if there's all of us in the family and we think, so-and-so has got money and we also don't want the other person to go get your money because, I'm your daughter, so I'm more entitled to it, or I'm your granddaughter and I'm more entitled to it, and I've always wanted this, and, and I think you've always wanted this kitchen, you've always wanted this, and you've always wanted that. Little by little, the money gets, chewed at, and at the end of the day, you're left with nothing. But had you consulted and had sort of guidance as to how to not get all this money, all this 8 million in your hand, because if 8 million were to fall into my lap right now, I would be catapulted into the air. You'd be sitting on this chair by yourself because 8 million, you yourself are going to see stars.
Correct. So the important thing, and you touched on that, is to get proper guidance. And this is not proper guidance from your friends. This is proper guidance from either a financial advisor or a retirement benefit counselor. So in my department, in my team, when a person exits, whether through a dismissal or a resignation or retirement, there's a trigger that makes us call that person. And we say, Nongcebo, you are exiting your current employer. Do you understand the impact of your decision that you have? So we'll send you an email, we'll have a conversation with you and say, if you want to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, these are the different impacts that you have. Some people will say, no, I don't care, I'll take all my money. But some people, you actually switch on a light and they say, why do I really need to take this 100,000 rand? I just didn't need it. I assume, because there's a lot of people that assume when you leave a company, it's almost like a golden handshake to take this money. They don't understand the long-term impact of actually taking monies from their pension funds. You see? So we have conversations with people. In fact, you don't need to take, there's something called a part preservation. So if you've got R1 million in your pension fund, you don't need to take it all. You could literally say, let me take that 75,000 rand that I need to settle my car, that I need to settle that credit card, for example. Because the one thing with money, as you were just saying right now, when money is there, things will come up. So let's say you needed 100,000, but I give you R1 million for no reason. That 900,000 rand will start getting chowed at by your wants and needs, So that is why we then say you can part withdraw. You can't just say, whatever I need, I take. We'll sit down with you, we'll give you the tax implication to say, if there's a net amount that you need, take this amount, less tax, and this is what you get. Don't take the full amount. And that amount also, the nice thing is, you are then allowed one further withdrawal before retirement.
Okay.
So the money that you leave, so let's say you've got R1 million, for example, you withdraw 100,000. There's 900,000 Rand that's staying behind. This 900,000, firstly, it will get compounding with interest and dividends.
Mm-hmm.
And secondly, if you do want to withdraw from this, you are able to withdraw again at a later stage. So you retain the ability to access that money as a once-off withdrawal from this. So we're not taking away benefits.
Yeah.
We're not taking away options. We're just saying to a person, whatever decision that you make it an informed decision. Understand the tax implications, understand the interest implications, understand the dividends implications.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just make a decision that later on you come to regret and say, I did not know. The thing is, all companies, the retirement benefit counseling function
Mm-hmm.
is now mandatory for all insurers. That when a person exits their employment, they do get calls or emails or some level of communication to give them that information. So we can't now say I did not know, because right now we do. I know myself, I did not know previously.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I had. But right now, going forward, everyone who's listening to this, please make an informed decision. Speak to your financial advisors, speak to retirement benefit counselors, and whatever decision that you make, just take it slowly. There is no rush. You can't just defer it and say, I'm not going to touch this money. Leave it in the preservation fund. Your rights remain. It doesn't mean that when you resign and you didn't take the money when you left, in 3 years' time, you can't touch that money. You still can at that point. So those are the options. Speak to advisors, speak to retirement benefit counselors. We are there, and people don't use our function, but I'm imploring people to use our function. In fact, through the entire working career, at any milestone, we encourage you to have a conversation with a financial advisor or a retirement benefit counselor. If you get pregnant and you have a child, you get divorced, or whatever sort of thing that you are doing that is of a major milestone, have a conversation with someone who understands the impact of this thing. So things like beneficiary updates,
Yes.
changing your cover, your life insurance cover. It's a large range of things that we offer, and they're not offered by my company only. It's across the board. Because ultimately, we want to ensure that South Africans are covered properly. And some of these things are there. Some of these things are very cheap. Things like wills. A lot of people don't have wills. So that's the conversation that you should have to ensure that all of this money that you work hard for serves you correctly. It's not just sitting there and you don't understand the impact of this money. This money is there. I see this deduction. You see this deduction. Whoever you are, you see this deduction.
Yeah.
It should work for you. So also, if I may, as a parting point, have conversations with your family members. And I'm speaking in a previous episode, I spoke about having conversations around saving.
Yes.
But with regards to this, have conversations with them about your benefits. That if I pass away, what happens? If I get disabled, what happens? Give people that you are the beneficiary, this, and that, because there's a lot of money sitting with insurance companies and we're unable to pay out these things because of people not having conversations with their loved ones. Because ultimately, you work hard for this money, it should work hard for you too.
So, Tshepo, you talk about having conversations with your family. What happens if I pass away? What happens if I become disabled? What's in place? And the important administrative stuff. The conversation with your RBC, the reviewing of your documentation, the discussion with your RBC or your financial advisor as to, am I doing the best that I could? Could I get more out of this? Could I structure it differently? How often should that conversation be happening?
Rule of thumb is that every 6 months to a year,
Okay.
but at any point that you feel the need. I just spoke about milestones. So if you get divorced, someone passes away, someone is born into your family, that is a trigger to now have a conversation with either an RBC or a financial advisor. But there's no set hard and fast rule. At the end of the day, if you want to have a conversation with someone, pick up the phone. Some of these financial advisors belong to your fund. They're already paid by the fund, so they will be there to actually assist you with regards to that.
And when we talk about this, we talk about retirement, right? And when people talk about retirement, they talk about when I am no longer working at the job that I have been working at as a permanent employee with my 8 to 5 or my 7 to 4:30. When you are self-employed, in whatever category that you are self-employed, is there a different way that you should be approaching this?
Absolutely. So pension and provident funds are linked to employment. That's first.
Okay.
You can't join a pension or a provident fund as a standalone unemployed person.
Okay.
And when I say unemployed, self-employed.
Okay.
So there is a vehicle that was created called a retirement annuity. That vehicle has got the same exact functions as a pension or provident fund.
Okay.
So as a freelancer or as a self-employed business person or any person, you can invest money on a regular into a retirement annuity.
Okay.
That has the same exact thing I've been speaking about all day with regards to the pension fund. It also has the ability for them to withdraw from their two pots, from their savings pots once per annum.
Okay.
So it's the same exact thing. It's just that it's not linked to any sort of employment. So I do encourage people, because a lot of people that are self-employed or freelancers, they do not have this. You see, as an employed person myself, I was forced, technically, that when I join a company, this is what you do.
Yes.
Freelancers and self-employed people do not have any sort of forced mechanism.
Yes.
So I'm encouraging people of that nature to start contributing towards a retirement annuity. The nice thing with the retirement annuity, especially with people that are self-employed or freelancers, when you do get a large lump sum, this allows you to put that large lump sum into the retirement annuity. So
you put a lump sum?
You can pick and choose as you wish. You can have a monthly contribution.
Right.
You can also put a lump sum into a retirement annuity.
Okay.
So obviously, with regards to a pension fund, it's very difficult, or let me not say difficult, it's not the norm to put lump sums externally because it needs to come from your salary.
Okay.
But as a standalone freelancer or a self-employed person, when you get a big deal or you get a large lump sum, you can put whatever you want at that point. Do keep in mind though, once it's in the retirement annuity, you can't withdraw it. So that is very important. You can't just use that as a bank account that I put money in and I withdraw it. That is now sitting in that retirement annuity for your benefit yet again, that at retirement you then have an income. You see? And the one thing is people then say, what if I die? No? Death it does happen. So with both the pension provident fund and the retirement annuity, that money you can set up a beneficiary to be paid to your loved ones, inclusive of any other risk benefits that you may have linked to that. So that money will be paid out to your beneficiaries. In fact, not will. Please nominate a beneficiary for your pension fund or your retirement annuities.
Okay.
A lot of people don't do that. And when they pass away, it becomes a long-winded process that takes years before monies are paid out to loved ones. So nominate beneficiaries. But ultimately, all of this, Nongcebo, we are trying to look out for the interests of people.
Okay.
This is not legislation designed to keep people under control. We do know, I always use the example of a seatbelt. You know, a lot of people say a seatbelt, why must I put it? Why am I getting a ticket? At the end of the day, that thing is designed to protect you. That if you have an accident, it protects you. So that it's the same thing with this type of legislation. Sometimes we do need a bit of nudging, a bit of forcing, if I may, in order for us to make the correct decisions. And these correct decisions will look after you when you can't. At some point, you'll be sickly, you'll be maybe have dementia, and this will look after you. So we've got members that are 90, 95 that are sitting in hospices. Some of them can't speak, they can't do anything, but that money is looking after them in those hospices. So this money here should not be a grudge purchase. In fact, you should actually want to put more, depending on your budget and availability. So I'm not saying don't live, but there is a portion where you say, I can put a bit extra. Yes.
And this is the money that ultimately, when comes retirement time, or rather when retirement time comes, that is the money that you will then be making a choice about with regard to how you then pay yourself, essentially.
Correct. So what happens, all these different vehicles, and thanks for reminding me of that. So all these different vehicles I'm speaking of, the pension, provident fund, preservations, RAs, everything, you get to the point of retirement.
Yeah.
All of this money you can pull up. This is now, we'll call it the kitty at retirement.
Right.
You now have the option of an annuity. Simple word is a pension.
Yes.
Ne? That you then say, I want to be paid in a particular fashion. So you've got a living annuity. You've also got a life annuity.
Right.
That is something that is not for this conversation today, but do note that you've got options as to how you'll be paid. So this money that you're saving, at some particular point,
Yes.
it will start paying you an income. Impension, you know?
And that's definitely a conversation that we're still going to have with Lynette Ace, also from the Momentum Corporate team. But Tshepo, thank you very much for joining us for this conversation. And I hope that after listening to this, a person has the option to listen to it once, twice, 3 times, many times. The net result of that is that they will then relook what they've got in place and engage their retirement benefit counselor and financial advisor and make the right decision for them to pay themselves when their company is no longer paying them.
Thank you, Nongcebo. And lastly, Biki Mark Meir. Always have that in mind. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the podcast. Remember, you can like the episode and share the podcast link, as well as listen to more episodes on the channel. Subscribe to the channel for more. Siyabonga. Thank you for listening.